She was promised to a human before she was even born. The words were not her own, not her choice, but written into her life by treaties older than her first breath. On her world, such things were binding. A family honor was tied to it, an entire people's peace woven into that agreement. Her name was Elira. From childhood, she grew up hearing fragments of what this promise meant. Elders told her that one day across the stars she would meet the human chosen for her. Not just any human, one whose family had stood beside her people generations ago when war threatened them both. The bond was meant to be more than political. It was supposed to be living proof that two species could trust each other forever. But what did that mean for her? A girl who had never even seen a human. She remembered her father's gentle words. Humans are strong, fierce, but loyal. They do not give up easily. She remembered her mother's worried sighs. They are unpredictable, dangerous. I hope you will not fear him. So Elira grew up with a heart pulled in two directions. Some days she imagined her promised human as a hero, kind eyes, warm voice, someone who would understand her even when her own people did not. Other days she imagined him as a shadow, someone who would take her freedom away and leave her trapped in a promise she had never made. As the years passed, she felt the weight of distance. Not only distance between stars, but distance inside herself. Because while everyone told her the promise was important, nobody ever asked her if she wanted it. Nobody asked her if she was ready. And most of all, nobody explained how she was supposed to feel about someone who was real and unreal at the same time. At night, she would look up at the sky. The stars burned cold, and somewhere out there, a single human lived waiting for the day they would meet. She wondered if he ever thought about her. Did he even know her name? Did he feel the same strange mix of hope and fear? Or was she only a duty to him, another name on a treaty scroll? The thought made her chest ache. She tried to write once. A letter, simple words scratched onto a thin sheet of parchment. To the one I am promised to, she wrote. But when she tried to finish, her hand froze. What was she supposed to say? I do not know you, but I want to. I am afraid, but I hope you are kind. Every sentence felt too small for what lived inside her heart. In the end, she folded the paper away, never sent. And so she waited. Every year that passed made the distance feel heavier. Her friends grew, made choices, found their own paths. Elira felt stuck, tied to a destiny that was not her own making. But even so, a spark of hope refused to die inside her, because deep down, she wanted to believe the stories about humans were true. That they were not only fierce but also loyal. That they could be more than strangers tied together by words of the past. One evening, when she sat alone beneath the glowing moons of her world, she whispered into the night, "Whoever you are, I hope you're real. I hope when we meet you will see me, not just the promise." Her voice trembled, but she did not look away from the stars. Somewhere out there, her future waited, shaped by choices older than her and yet still unwritten. She was promised to a human before she was even born, and though she did not know how to reach across the distance yet, she held on to one fragile truth. When they met, everything could change. His name was Daniel, and like Elira, he had grown up with the weight of a promise written before his birth. His parents told him stories about the treaty, about how his grandfather once stood beside her people in battle, how their courage and trust had built a bond strong enough to outlast wars, borders, and even generations. But to a boy, it was only a story, a name, a shadow. He was told that somewhere across the galaxy, a girl had been promised to him, not by choice but by history. And like Elira, he wondered what that really meant. Daniel grew up hearing whispers about what others thought of his destiny. Some said he was lucky. What greater honor than to carry the weight of peace itself? Others said it was a chain, that his future had been chosen before he could choose for himself. He pretended not to care, but late at night, when the stars shone over his small hometown on Earth, he would catch himself wondering, who is she? Does she think of me? Or am I just another duty in her eyes? The distance between them was heavy. Not only light years of space, but silence. For all his life, Daniel had never heard her voice, never seen her face. He only knew her name. Elira, a name that felt soft on his tongue, even when spoken into the empty air of his room. Sometimes, when he felt lonely, he whispered it, just to remind himself she was real. He wanted to reach out. He tried more than once, messages drafted on the small data pad his family kept, words written and erased again and again. Hello, I am Daniel. I don't know you, but I want to. Too simple. I think about you sometimes. Too strange. I hope we can meet and not hate each other. Too fearful. Every attempt felt clumsy, too small for the weight in his chest. So, like Elira, he left his letters unsent. The silence between them grew, and with it, a sadness Daniel could not shake. His friends made plans for the future, college, work, relationships. He tried to join in, to laugh with them, but inside he felt hollow. How could he plan anything when part of his life had already been decided? How could he give his heart to anyone else when it already belonged to someone he had never met? And yet beneath that sadness there was hope, because Daniel had learned one thing about being human, one thing his people carried with them into every part of the galaxy. They did not give up easily. They were stubborn, even when the odds were against them. They reached for the impossible, even when the stars told them it could not be done. So he held on to that. He told himself that distance was not forever, that someday he would stand before her, and the silence would finally break. That maybe, just maybe, the promise would not feel like a chain, but like a door opening. Until then, all he could do was wait. There were nights when he lay awake, staring at the sky, imagining her world. Was it warm or cold? Did its moons glow like the ones in the pictures? Did she sit under them thinking about him as he thought about her? The thought made him smile, even as his chest ached, but doubt still lingered. What if she hated him? What if she saw only the stories of humans? Dangerous, unpredictable, feared by many, and wanted nothing to do with him. The galaxy called his kind death worlders. To most species, that word meant terrifying, reckless, too strong, too wild. But Daniel knew humans were more than that. Yes, they were stubborn. Yes, they could be fierce. But they were also gentle, curious, willing to fight not only for survival but for others. Would she ever see that? Would she believe it? He did not know. But he hoped. And so the days passed. Then the years. The distance between them never shrank. But the thought of her never left him. He carried it like a flame in his chest, a flame that refused to go out, even in the darkest moments. Sometimes he wondered if that was what it meant to be human. Not strength of body, not fierceness of will, but the refusal to let hope die no matter how far away it seemed. And every time that thought came, he whispered her name again, softly, into the night. Elira. The sound gave him courage. He had been promised to her before he was even born. He did not know her face, her voice, or her heart, but he knew one thing. When they finally met, he would do everything in his power to make her see not just the promise, but the person he truly was